Hi Year 12s, by now you should hopefully have made some sort of a start on your second assignment, which is your response to text about that sugar film. Scroll down. So, your assignment is to answer the question, what are the main ideas expressed in the film, and does the film inspire you to make changes to your diet? If so, how? There's 5 things that I'm looking for in this assignment. Firstly, that you are showing evidence of grammatical control and complexity, that you're demonstrating comprehension and interpretation of the information, the ideas, and the opinions in the film, that you are analysing and evaluating the personal, so your own or Damon's own, or the societal or cultural perspectives in the film, that you are using appropriate language features and conventions to produce an effective essay to explore the ideas. So language features are things like third person or first person, high quality language, transitional connectives. So we're looking for words like therefore, furthermore, such as, and that you are selecting and using evidence and examples from the film. So when you say in the film, the director talks about sugar, be a bit more specific. What does he actually say? Can you quote it? Can you paraphrase it? Now I've got in here that your draft is due week 1, Thursday. So orals will be happening at this time. You may even be watching this while I'm running some orals. We need to push quite quickly on from here until the end of the term so that we have extra time to catch up on assignments that you didn't maybe do so well in. I put together this persuasive techniques, tips and hints document for you to have a look at before I went on holidays. Just like any other essay, we're looking for an introduction and 1, 2, 3 main ideas followed by a conclusion. Now, if we look a bit deeper in here, we can see that the introduction has to tell us who directed the film. It tells us what 3 persuasive techniques you will talk about in your paragraphs. As you know, documentaries are designed to persuade you to believe what they're trying to tell you, just like an advertisement. And so we're looking at the techniques that the director used to convince you to change your diet. And does it convince you to change your diet? So in body 1, we're looking at the first technique, explain it. What is it? Why is it effective? Why do directors use that technique? And how does it link to the main question, which is what techniques are used to persuade you to change your diet? So in here, I'm looking for a paragraph that starts with or follows the race structure, being restate, answer, cite, and explain. Now your paragraph might not follow that exact structure. It might be RCAE or some other form of that. However, we're looking for those 4 elements in our paragraph. We are restating, we are reintroducing the topic in our topic sentence. What are you going to tell me in this paragraph? Answering. So what is the technique? Right. We're citing. So where exactly in the text is this technique used? Can you find some examples? So be specific and use example, please. And the third one, explain. We're going to call that linking because we are connecting back to the main idea, to the main essay question. Put my typing to the test. If you are setting out all 3 of your paragraphs in that similar structure, You're well on track to a good structured essay. Finally, in your conclusion, you are summarizing those 3 main points. 1, 2, 3, or those 3 techniques. And again, telling us how and why does the director convince you to change your diet. I also threw together some lists of persuasive techniques that documentary filmmakers use. If I was you, I would be picking 3 very different ones that you are confident about for each of your paragraphs. As your essay is only 800 words, and you will spend roughly 100, 120 on your introduction, the same similar 100, 120 in your conclusion, that leaves you with about 200 words for body 1, 200 words for body 2, and 200 words for body 3. So we're not looking for really in-depth analysis here, just a very concise and clear understanding. If you choose facts and statistics, be specific. What facts are you talking about? What specific statistic are you talking about? And why does that convince you? Is it designed to shock you? Is it designed to appeal to your logic? Is it 100% true that if you have sugar, you will get this? That's up to you. Does the director interview experts? And if so, who? What did they have to say? Was it effective? Was their scientific expertise enough to convince you? Was there emotive and powerful language? Instead of saying big, did the director say colossal? Instead of saying some issues, did he say a multitude of issues? Is it convincing you? Does it convince you to change your diet? Repetition, which is where the same idea is said over and over and over again. Might be worded slightly differently, but it's repeated and repeated and repeated. For exaggeration, where they said, oh, it always happens, without any actual scientific explanation or fact behind it. Is it saying that only some people that would happen to? So perhaps the Mountain Dew example would be great of that. Not every person who drinks Mountain Dew is going to have their teeth pulled out. However, we looked at an extreme case, a really exaggerated case, where in America, I think it was in Kentucky, that teenager had to have his teeth pulled out because he drank Mountain Dew. Now that's exaggerating the effects of Mountain Dew and trying to convince you to change your diet. Did it work for you? What was the point? Rhetorical questions are questions that don't get asked. Wrong. Rhetorical questions are questions that don't get answered. So if the director says, why wouldn't you act on that? He's not waiting for you to answer him. He's trying to get you to think and reflect and go, yeah, I agree with you. Why wouldn't we do that? Shock tactics. Shock tactics are designed to scare you or surprise you into believing something. So this, I think, links quite similarly to exaggeration. So I wouldn't pick those two because they may overlap. Personal pronouns, so the use of we, which tries to make an audience become a team, and they suggest the opposition. This links very, very closely with inclusive and exclusive language. So if I were you, I would pick one, not both. Where are we? Anecdotes, here. Anecdotes are small stories designed to convince you because they are 9 times out of 10 a real person's story. They would maybe link to this exaggeration and the shock tactics of the Mountain Dew. So perhaps, again, not a persuasive technique I would use together. Humor. Is the director funny in any way? Is he trying to appeal to the audience by making them laugh? And if so, do you feel you are more likely to trust somebody and believe what they're saying if they're funny. May not work for you. Imagery, figurative language, and metaphors and similes, not necessarily huge in this film. However, if there are elements that you think that you'd like to talk about the way language is used, particularly when we say something is something else or something is like something else, metaphor or simile. Are there any particular images that we used? Body language, tone, and then we get into the more specific to films, camera angles, shots, and editing. If you are doing this one, please let me know and I can send you a document, great big document about film techniques, including camera angles, shots, and editing. However, I do believe that we have far more interesting techniques to look at up here. We have layout features, which is where something is in the front and something is in the back, to draw your attention to a particular way. And then we have the emotive appeals, which links very similarly to the emotive and powerful language. So I would pick only one. Does it make you feel guilty? Does it make you feel jealous? Is it Top Gun and we're looking at the fastest cars in the world? Is it making you feel charitable? Is it a documentary about giving and helping the poor? Is it about environmental issues? Is it convincing you to be a better family member? Is it trying to persuade you to be more fashionable, more beautiful? If you buy their product, are you going to be more popular or feared? Or are you going to follow in a more traditional footstep? Now, I just wanted to have a quick look before we go on an A grade essay from last year. Now,